Art theft is one of the most fascinating crimes in history, a collision between culture, greed, and mystery. The value of the world's most iconic paintings is measured not only in millions of dollars, but also in their irreplaceable cultural significance. Few works of art capture the imagination and soul like Edvard Munch's The Scream. The image, a swirling storm of anguish and existential dread, has become a symbol of modern anxiety and human emotion. But the story of The Scream is not just about the painting itself. It's also about theft, multiple thefts, to be exact. Tonight, we explore the audacious, brazen heists that saw this world-famous painting vanish from museums and how it was eventually recovered. What motivated the thieves who dared to steal such a recognizable work of art? How did authorities track it down each time, and what mysteries still surround the thefts? This is AI True Crime, and I'm AI. Tonight, we'll unravel the shocking thefts of Edvard Munch's The Scream. Introduction: The Scream, a cultural icon. Before we dive into the heists themselves, we need to understand the power of the painting at the center of our story. Edvard Munch painted The Scream in 1893 as part of his larger series The Frieze of Life. The painting is iconic, instantly recognizable even to those unfamiliar with art history. It depicts a figure standing on a bridge, their hands clutching their face in terror, as the sky behind them swirls in fiery oranges and reds. The background of the painting, with its dark waters and distorted skyline, mirrors the figure's emotional breakdown, a scream echoing in the silence of nature. Munch created several versions of The Scream. The most famous is the original tempera on cardboard, housed at the National Gallery in Oslo. Another version, a pastel on cardboard, resides in the Munch Museum, also in Oslo. These versions are among the most famous and valuable pieces of art in the world. But with great value comes great risk. And for thieves, stealing The Scream was the ultimate prize. The first heist, National Gallery, Oslo, 1994. It was February 12, 1994, and the city of Lillehammer, Norway, was hosting the Winter Olympics. The eyes of the world were focused on the athletic events and international pageantry. But in the early hours of that same day, a brazen group of thieves had their sights set on a very different kind of prize. In the dark early hours of the morning, two men broke into the National Gallery in Oslo. Armed with nothing more than a ladder, a crowbar, and incredible audacity, they forced their way into the museum. The thieves moved quickly, heading straight for the room where Edvard Munch's The Scream was on display. Within minutes, they pried the painting from the wall and fled into the night. It was a shockingly simple heist. The National Gallery's security was outdated, and to make matters worse, the painting was barely secured to the wall. As the thieves made their escape, they left behind a taunting note: "Thanks for the poor security." The painting they stole was the original 1893 version of The Scream, one of the most important and valuable works of art in the world. Its loss was a devastating blow, not just for Norway, but for art lovers everywhere. The investigation, a desperate search for The Scream. The theft of The Scream made international headlines, and authorities immediately launched an intense investigation. With such a high-profile work stolen, the police knew the clock was ticking. Art theft often involves intricate black market networks, and if The Scream disappeared into one of these underground systems, it could be lost forever. Interpol was brought in, and Norwegian police worked around the clock, but leads were few and far between. It wasn't long before suspicions arose that the heist might be politically motivated. Norway was in the global spotlight because of the Winter Olympics, and some believed the thieves were using the painting's disappearance to embarrass the government. This theory gained traction when a group demanded a ransom of $1 million for the painting's safe return. But art thieves are often playing a dangerous game. The Scream is one of the most famous paintings in the world, and selling it would be nearly impossible. The painting's fame was its greatest protection. Months passed, and the pressure mounted on the authorities to recover the masterpiece. It would take nearly 3 months before police finally caught a break. The recovery, undercover sting operation. The breakthrough came in May 1994, when Norwegian authorities, in cooperation with British police, set up an undercover operation to buy back the painting. The sting operation took place in a hotel in Skardstrand, the town where Munch had originally painted the Scream. It was a fitting location for the recovery of such a famous work of art. As part of the operation, an undercover British officer posed as an art buyer, negotiating with the thieves for the return of the Scream. The meeting was tense, with millions of dollars on the line. But after some skillful maneuvering by the authorities, the thieves took the bait. The painting was recovered, and the culprits were arrested. After 3 months of uncertainty, the Scream was back in its rightful place at the National Gallery. The world breathed a collective sigh of relief. But as it turned out, this was only the beginning of the painting's ordeal. The second heist, Munch Museum, Oslo, 2004. 10 years after the first heist, the Scream was stolen again. This time, the target was the Munch Museum in Oslo, home to another version of the iconic painting. On August 22, 2004, in broad daylight, a group of armed thieves stormed the museum. This heist was even more brazen than the first. At 11 a.m., 2 masked men armed with handguns walked into the Munch Museum as visitors looked on in shock. One of the men grabbed the Scream, while the other took Munch's painting Madonna, another valuable work. In a scene straight out of a heist movie, the thieves ran through the museum's galleries, ripping the paintings from the walls, and making their escape in a waiting car. The heist was over in less than a minute, leaving behind stunned visitors and shocked museum staff. Authorities were once again left scrambling, and the world watched as the Scream, one of the most recognizable paintings in art history, vanished for the second time in a decade. The investigation, a global effort to find the Scream. The 2004 theft of the Scream was a blow to the Munch Museum and to Norway's cultural pride. The painting was one of the museum's most treasured pieces, and the fact that it was stolen in broad daylight added insult to injury. The police once again launched a massive investigation, but this time, the stakes felt even higher. For 2 years, authorities hunted down leads, working with international agencies like Interpol to track the painting across borders. But the Scream had gone underground, vanishing into the shadowy world of art crime. There was speculation that organized crime syndicates were involved, possibly using the painting as collateral in other illegal activities. Ransoms were demanded, but the negotiations fell through. As time dragged on, hopes of recovering the Scream began to fade. The recovery, a fortuitous discovery. SFX, the distant hum of a city at night, punctuated by the sounds of police surveillance. Narrator, in August 2006, after 2 years of uncertainty, the police finally caught a break. Acting on a tip-off, Norwegian authorities raided a location in Oslo and found the Scream along with Madonna, both paintings remarkably undamaged despite their 2-year absence. The recovery was a triumph for the investigators, and the world celebrated the return of Munch's masterpiece. After 2 years in the dark, the Scream was finally home again. But even with the paintings recovered, questions remained. Who were the true masterminds behind the heist? Was it really just a case of opportunistic theft, or was there more at play in the shadowy world of art crime? Conclusion: the enduring mystery of the Scream. The Scream has become more than just a painting, it's a symbol of human fear and resilience, both in art and in its storied history of thefts. Each time the painting was stolen, it was as though a piece of global culture was held for ransom. While the Scream was ultimately recovered, the thefts have left us with lingering mysteries. Who ordered the heists, and where did the painting go during its time in the criminal underworld? For now, these questions remain unanswered. What we do know is that the Scream continues to captivate the world, both for its artistic power and its ability to inspire some of the most daring art thefts in history. In our next episode, we'll dive into another art crime that shocked the world, the infamous theft of the Mona Lisa from the Louvre in 1911. How did one of the world's most famous paintings vanish from one of the most secure museums in the world, and who was behind the heist? Join me next time for another captivating story on AI True Crime. Until then, stay safe, stay curious, and stay strange.